Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I do want to speak about Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors, returning to the MCU. We're also going to be talking about the X-Men and the latest updates on what Marvel's plans are for the X-Men reboot. We do have some very interesting details that we must discuss. So let's talk about Jonathan Majors potentially coming back as Kang, as it states here that Marvel Studios is reportedly considering bringing back Jonathan Majors back as Kang the Conqueror. Now, the only reason why at one point we had the idea of releasing Avengers The Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars, it was because of Kang the Conqueror. Jonathan Majors' Kang was supposed to be the next big bad after Thanos, but in 2023, Marvel Studios cut ties with Jonathan Majors after he was convicted of assault. To be exact, it happened on December 18th, 2023. I'm not going to get into the details about Jonathan Majors' case because I do think that it has been talked about enough. I do believe that we all have to move on, and because this report is coming out, it's a very positive one, and I believe that Jonathan Majors wants the same for himself and his career. He has even stated that he does want to come back as Kang the Conqueror. Like, there is no tensions between Jonathan Majors and Marvel Studios. He was saying that, if Robert Downey Jr. got a second chance in his career, then he should be given the same. And now we're hearing that the studio head, Kevin Feige, wants Jonathan Majors back in the MCU. And the whole idea to bring him in is for Majors to appear in a future Marvel project to wrap up some loose ends with Kang and close the character's story. Now, what gets very interesting about this is that if we actually pay attention to what has been left between Kang and the MCU, when we look at Quantumania and how that movie concluded, Kang literally got beaten by Ant-Man. So we don't even have to worry about him potentially coming back in a future movie. And then when we look at the Loki series, where I believe they dealt with the villain much better, Kang was a multiversal threat, and the Loki series made that very clear. But by the time we got into the end of season 2 for Loki, they concluded that the TVA will be keeping tabs on all Kangs that do arise in different universes, meaning that he is fully dealt with, and Kang no longer has control of the TVA whatsoever. Now the TVA controls Kang. So they concluded that storyline. So to hear that the idea for Majors is to appear in a future Marvel project to wrap up some loose ends, my biggest question is, what loose ends? There was never any loose ends. Marvel even decided to change the name of the next Avengers film from Kang Dynasty to Doomsday. So now we do have another big bad in the MCU, and that is Doctor Doom. It is no longer Kang the Conqueror. So it does seem like everything that went on and what decisions Marvel have made is showing that they have moved away from Kang the Conqueror completely. And so to bring him back, we can literally say that they don't have to, nor do they have to do any work to conclude his storyline. He has been fully defeated narrative-wise. The only real idea I have for Kang the Conqueror, if they really do want to bring him back, is he ends up becoming like an ally with Doctor Doom in Doomsday and Secret Wars. Or they can place Kang in Doctor Strange 3 and have him become the main villain against Doctor Strange. They can do many things. Have him become not the big bad of the MCU, but I would just say the third or second big bad within the MCU. For sure, he's not going to be the big bad. It is going to be Doctor Doom, and Marvel is not going to reverse any of the decisions that they have made in the past couple of months. Also, keep in mind that Majors is set to appear in an upcoming film called The Magazine Dreams, a film that will be releasing in March. This was a film that was supposed to release about 1.5 years ago, but it's finally going to come out after some studios are now giving Majors a second chance. Hence the reason why we're hearing reports about Kevin Feige maybe wanting to bring Majors back to play Kang the Conqueror. But the reason why this is important is because I do think that Majors is going to go through some interviews to promote Magazine Dreams, and you better bet that there is going to be some interviewers asking him, what is your position with Marvel? Can we know anything that we don't know anything about as of now? And do you think that there is a future with the MCU? Like, they will ask Majors that. If they asked him before about how he believes his position with Marvel should go after coming out of a workout, by the way, from the gym, they're definitely going to ask him within these next few weeks. There will be interviews, and so that it is going to be very, very insightful. Moving on towards the last conversation, and I do want to speak about the X-Men reboot. It says here, according to Daniel RPK, that the X-Men reboot film will reportedly not be an origin story. This is due to the film being released after Avengers Secret Wars. We also know that Marvel Studios is reportedly looking for actors around 20 to 30 years old for the X-Men reboot film. So it does seem like the MCU X-Men will go in a very similar route to the Fantastic Four. I would even say say Superman that is directed by James Gunn. It's not going to be an origin story. They're going to be fully established by the time we meet them. And when we do meet the X-Men post Secret Wars, the whole world will know about the X-Men. And I do think that we're also going to have a very great idea on who the cast is for the brand new X-Men that will be coming out most likely in either 2028 and at the very most 2029. But I do think that the X-Men film will be coming out in 2028 with a cast being around the ages of 20 to 30 years old. It is going to be a very young X-Men lineup. Now look, for sure, the Avengers Secret Wars has two jobs. One, conclude the multiverse saga, and point number two, give us a good understanding on who the X-Men is and what the mutant saga is going to be about. That is going to be two very important things Secret Wars is going to have to do. It's a large-scale Avengers movie with major plot developments, character crossovers, introductions or reintroductions of certain characters. Secret Wars will give us the X-Men entry, and that is the reason why once we do get the X-Men film, it is not going to be an origin story. Our origin story for the X-Men will be held within Avengers Secret Wars. Kevin Feige has also recently confirmed that the X-Men will be a significant part of the MCU's future post Secret Wars. So it's highly likely that because we have never heard of the mutants nor the X-Men before Secret Wars within the MCU timeline, I really do think that Secret Wars is going to have an event where the universe is reset, or there is going to be some manipulation going on within the 616 universe that allows for the X-Men to exist in there, because it just wouldn't make no sense to not hear about the X-Men since the MCU started up until today. So when Secret Wars does get released on May 2027, after that, there is most likely going to be 1 to 2 solo films, and then we will get the X-Men film. And for sure, it's probably going to happen in 2028. We don't know exactly what those 1 to 2 solo films will be, which will be between Secret Wars and X-Men, but definitely whatever those 1 to 2 films will be, it's only going to further the origin story even more for the X-Men. So by the time we get into the X-Men project, we all know who they are. And also keep in mind, we have seen the X-Men origin story multiple times over the past 20 to 25 years. For sure, Kevin Feige is not going to want to waste time on an origin story on the first reboot film. As for the next year and a half, like, what are we going to be seeing in terms of the X-Men? Like, are we going to be seeing new characters? Could we see the old ones come back? Kevin Feige has already mentioned that Secret Wars would feature a mix of characters that we have seen before and new ones. So this strategy is going to involve bringing back characters from the Fox X-Men films and introducing an entirely new version of these characters. So it's going to be a mix of nostalgia and fresh storytelling, which could appeal to both longtime fans and new audiences. So for example, we have already heard reports about Kelsey Grammer's returning as the Beast in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. We know that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine would also be returning for these two big event films. We have also heard reports about Professor X returning. The groundwork is already there, and the groundwork is already starting. We have heard Wolverine say fuck the Avengers during Deadpool 3, basically hinting at the fact that he does have a long history of the X-Men going up against the Avengers. We have also seen Beast in the Marvels. In Brave New World, we're going to be introduced to adamantium, a material that reportedly, I mean, at least what they are saying, is stronger than vibranium. We're also most likely going to be seeing some Easter eggs of the X-Men in the Fantastic Four film. So we do have some groundwork. We do have some OGs coming back to return for the big Avenger films. And as for the new X-Men, we don't know exactly who is going to be who. We only have heard some rumors, like for example, Hunter Schaffer is being considered for the role of Mystique in the X-Men reboot film. And we also know that Harrison Dixon is not being considered for the role of Cyclops in the upcoming X-Men reboot film. So we hear reports about an actor not being considered or being considered. Everything's up in the air right now. We're in a very gray area, but we should have a better idea on who is playing who for the brand new X-Men later down this year. So that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.